I want to introduce our next speaker, who is Les Khan. But before Mr. Khan speaks, we're going to do our first poll of the day. So can we have the first poll go up, please? And a reminder that if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat. While we wait for the first poll, Mr. Khan is the CEO of the Citizenship by Investment Unit, which is the government agency that regulates and oversees the Citizenship by Investment program. Poll is in progress. We just have a few seconds. Please vote. Let's see who is leading here. We're changing the lead. Okay, we have 10 more seconds. Are you voting? Three more seconds. One more sec. Okay. So what's interesting, it looks like we have a bit of a tie between escaping future conflict with access to a safe and stable destination and personal travel. Very interesting. Thank you so much for your participation in that poll. And we have a winner. We've got a winner. Escape future risk and conflict. Thank you so much. Mr. Khan, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Good to see you again after quite a while. Hello to everybody in Nigeria. Special thank you to Chief Idigbe and the Fairway Group. I do recall that visit to Nigeria in March last year, and I did go into quarantine at that point in time, and I am in quarantine again at the same point in time. So it goes to show the diligence and the seriousness that St. Kitts puts on its COVID preparedness and action. And I am, because I traveled, I am in quarantine for a couple of weeks. It is my pleasure to talk a little about the St. Kitts and Nevis program. And I am here to speak about the technical side of the program. What are the specifics? What are the investment opportunities? And why would you want to invest in St. Kitts and Nevis? The Prime Minister was very explicit in talking about the program being the legacy program. We are also known as the Platinum brand. And with the Platinum brand comes the uniqueness of the interest in St. Kitts and Nevis. So can we go to the next slide? I will go through the slides very quickly. St. Kitts and Nevis, prior to the COVID pandemic, was one of the most outstanding and growing tourist destinations in the world. It is known for being the oldest program, and as a result, the number of interested parties in St. Kitts and Nevis has grown tremendously over the years. Our population of applications come from China, significant Middle East, Russia. We're beginning to see a lot more interest in Africa, coming from Africa, and also coming from the US. So it's an expanding program, and we continue to grow as we go forward. Next slide, please. St. Kitts and Nevis is ranked number one on the OECS in terms of, and this is the Eastern Caribbean countries and those countries that have citizenship by investment programs, in terms of its ranking in several passport indices. In the last Henley and Partners Passport Index, we were ranked number one in the OECS and number two in the Caribbean, with over 156 countries having access to visa-free and visa upon entry. This gives us a significant advantage in terms of what we offer to our clients. Next slide, please. Several benefits of having a St. Kitts and Nevis citizenship. There is the tax advantages, which are no personal withholding tax, no capital gains, and no inheritance tax. As the Prime Minister mentioned, there is social and economic stability that has existed throughout our program, and we continue to lead in the Caribbean and in the world in this area. Please go ahead. Unlike some of our other programs, St. Kitts and Nevis has no residency requirements. In other words, you can apply for citizenship in St. Kitts and Nevis through your local agent and representative, and you do not need to come to St. Kitts to present or to obtain the actual citizenship. This feature allows us to be ranked very highly in other indices around the world. Under the Citizenship by Investment program, you would be interested to know that the resale of property under the CBI program, and this is under the real estate option, can be done after holding the property for 5 or 7 years. I'll talk a little about this when I get into the specific pricing of the products. We also offer the ability to add dependents between 18 and 25 who are full-time or tertiary levels students, and those who are up to the age of 30. I may also add that in recent legislation, we added the ability to add dependents along the lines of siblings. So siblings can be added. That's the brother or the sister of the main applicant who is up to the age of 30, who is single, and who can prove dependency on the main applicant. This gives us a wide opportunity for you, your clients, to bring in as many people in the family and provide citizenship, and that security-based option that is being given. We are also providing the ability to add qualified dependents after citizenship is granted. And we also offer the ability to provide financial sponsorship to an applicant who may not have all of the money but for the investment, but can bring someone in as the financial sponsor. This financial sponsor must go through due diligence with the unit and must show proof and source of funds in order to qualify as a financial sponsor. Please adjust here. St. Kitts and Nevis is a country that speaks English. It's very close to major cities, 2.5 hours from Miami, or roughly 3 hours from New York. So this gives us pretty easy access and a high rate of literacy on the island, over 98%. One of the things that St. Kitts and Nevis is known for is its broadband access, and we have high levels of access throughout the island. When you're in the Caribbean, you would recognize that we have many different nationalities, and St. Kitts and Nevis is no stranger to this. There are many people of different nationalities and culture in the region and in St. Kitts and Nevis, and this makes it an ideal location for tourists and for also conducting business. Next slide, please. In speaking about our various investment options in St. Kitts and Nevis, we have the real estate option, which is a minimum investment of either $200,000 or $400,000. With a $200,000 investment, you have to hold the property or the share that is being offered for a period of 7 years. With $400,000, you have to hold it for 5 years before you can sell it. In terms of the Sustainable Growth Fund, there is $150,000 as an investment in the government's fund. This fund, $150,000 for a family, for a single person, and up to $195,000 for a family of 4. But we have passed legislation recently that allows us to have a limited time offer. So for 150,000, one can bring in a family of 4. And this special offer will go to the end of the year. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, the real estate option is either 400 or 200,000. The government fees that are charged for the real estate option is 35,000 for the main applicant, 20,000 for the spouse, and 10,000 for any additional dependent up to the age of 30. Now, in the addition of siblings under the real estate option, it's, as I said, up to the age of 30, and it's 40,000 for the addition of a sibling under the real estate option. And this is either for either the 400,000 or the 200,000 option. With all applications for St. Kitts and Nevis, you must undergo due diligence, and there's a due diligence fee that is paid at 7,500 for the main applicant and 4,000 for any dependent or sibling over the age of 16. I'd like to talk a little about processing time. From the minute that an application comes into the unit to the time when approval is granted, it's approximately 90 days by law. Within St. Kitts and Nevis, we are the only country that offers an expedited fast-track solution. So for an additional fee, one would most likely get their application within 45 to 60 days. A lot of what we do is dependent on due diligence. So therefore, we go on the long side of 60 days on the fast track and 90 days on the normal. Please just. There are also investment opportunities in St. Kitts, and investment opportunities, as we mentioned, in real estate. There are many opportunities in our attempt to diversify the economy through agriculture and food production, food processing, medical tourism, alternative energy, light manufacturing, and information technology. These are opportunities that can be offered to you as you gain citizenship into St. Kitts and Nevis. And as the Prime Minister mentioned, it is our greatest desire for you to come to St. Kitts and Nevis and to invest in the country that you are now a citizen of. Thank you. This is the website and the contact information for the Citizenship by Investment program in St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you, Donna, and thank you, audience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Khan. We have got a couple of questions that maybe I can ask you to answer. First of all, we spoke about siblings. A question has come up. What about elderly or grandparents or parents? Are they eligible to be included by the main applicant in their application?
In terms of the main applicant, our legislation states that it's the spouse and the dependents. And then in recent legislation, we added siblings. However, once an individual becomes a citizen, they can apply for their parents. So that will bring in the parents or the grandparents of the applicant.
Thank you. And then the next question I'd like to direct to you is a question about children under the age of 10.
Under the age of 10?
What if children under 10 years old?
Children under 10 years of old will still have to be, the cost of that will be $10,000, but they will not have to go through the due diligence. The due diligence requirement, which would be $4,000 for a dependent, would not be charged on a child under the age of 14.
Thank you so much. We have a number of other questions. Let me just go through them. But we also have another poll that we'd like to do. So can we do the poll quickly now while I go through the remainder of the questions? Can we put the poll up? Thank you. We just heard what is mandated by law in terms of response time from the Citizenship by Investment Unit. One final question for you, Mr. Khan, sort of, well, at this time, is there anything that can extend that time period beyond the 90 days?
Absolutely. The 90 days is based on the fact that an application and all of the necessary documents and all of the detail that is provided by the applicant is as clean as possible. If during the due diligence process, we identify situations where information on the application doesn't match with what we received in our due diligence, or we need further clarification on source of funds, proof of wealth, etc., we can and will put in a request. It's called a query, a request to the agent asking for additional information. That request, usually from our records and historical information, indicates that it takes the client about an additional 45 days to respond on the average. So if the application is going beyond the 90 days, the chances are there is a query and we're waiting on a response from the agent or the client, and then we go through further due diligence or vetting processes.